Good morning. Welcome to Coffee with Raymond. I'm Raymond, and this is my coffee. This is my one of my other favorite coffee mugs, and one of the things I love about it is it's got Mr. Rogers on the front of it, and he's a bit of a hero of mine. So once we moved here, my partner she got me this mug, and one of the things I love about it is the color of his sweater changes. So it goes from black to yellow. For some reason, I thought it went to red, but it just goes to yellow instead. Anyways, last time that we chatted about my experience dealing with, discrimination in the workplace. This is going to be hard to talk about. What I haven't told you about what happened after I got fired is some personal growth things took place. And I kind of want to talk about that today because it kind of feeds into philosophy and religion and what does it mean to be a good human, why are we here, meaning of life, all these sort of deep questions. I don't think there's anybody who examines life every day who doesn't sometimes wonder about this stuff. But in October, right after I went through this thing with this ableist employer, I got fired on October 5th. And then about 3 days later, my mom calls me and she tells me that my cousin's wife is in the hospital with stage 4 metastatic melanoma. And you have to understand, this woman did everything right in her life. She was one of the kindest people that our family has ever known. And she was 32 years young. Not a few days later, she passed away. I didn't know her all that well. I knew her that she was a good woman, and I knew that my cousin is a good man, but I'm not really involved in their life. It hit me kind of hard because my cousin's my age and my partner is his wife's age. So that happens. My cousin's wife passes away, and 3 days later, my dad calls. And he tells me my grandfather, who I am very close to, the person who is most like me in my family, in political belief, religious belief, philosophical belief, was my grandfather. I loved him to death. I still love him. But my dad calls me and says, Grandpa's got heart failure, and he's not expected to last the week, and he'd like to see you. And I packed up everything as fast as I could, and I got to spend his last week with him. My partner and I, we went to the Netherlands in 2021, and we got to visit the Keukenhof, which is this beautiful tulip museum / garden / just magical, enchanted land. And, I got to share those moments with him. We got to sit down and look through the pictures, and his last words to me were, "Thank you." And that's a tough thing to hear. Thank you. But I watched and I held my grandfather while he passed away. I watched the light go in and out of his eyes. I watched him fight for every last breath that he could have. And I stood by him, and I stood by our family, including people in my family I haven't seen in years. And I tried to respect his wishes and his final moments as much as I could. I will tell you, there's something that happens when there's 2 experiences, maybe 3 experiences dealing with death. It's different to be around somebody when they're dying, to be with somebody when they're dying, right? It's a completely different experience. And it was probably the hardest experience I've ever had in my life of all of my, and we can talk about hard experiences. I've had quite a few. But that was the hardest one, I think. And I don't regret a second of it. Because in those moments, something sort of woke up in me. Like, I don't have a better way of putting it. There's a transformation that I think happens. So the other element to this whole formula, first, we need to start with what my philosophy of money has been since I graduated college. And I got to give you a little bit of context there to justify that as well. So I graduated college in 2000. You know what? Fuck this. I've recorded this like 3 or 4 times at this point, and each time I'm like trying to justify to you how much money I make. I'm not going to justify that to you. I think I deserve every penny I make, but I make 6 figures. Okay. And the reason I make 6 figures is because I'm a software developer. And I'm 18 years into my career as a software developer. And yet I'm here trying to justify to you all the reasons why this is ethical for me to have this much money. I grew up in Columbus on the hilltop. And anybody from Columbus knows the hilltop's a rough neighborhood. I come from nothing. My mother was a bank teller her whole life. She retired as a poker dealer. My dad worked the rail yards his whole life. His dad worked the rail yards his whole life. I'm a first generation college graduate and I'm autistic. You know what? I fucking deserve it. I fucking deserve it. I deserve it all. So I'm not going to explain that. What I am going to explain to you, though, is I've been reckless with my money. And the reason I've been reckless with my money and my spending is because I entered the job market during the great financial recession of 2008. And I saw my colleagues, family, friends, entire savings wiped out. People's lives upended, losing their homes, losing their businesses, losing their way of life. That's what 2008 was like. So I decided, seeing this, well, I can't count on a 401k. I can't count on a retirement, but I can count on right now. And so I'm going to spend my money to make me happy right now. In 2021, 2022, and 2023, those 3 years during the pandemic, you know what I did with my money? I went to auctions and I bought fancy luxury goods. That's what I did. I bought antiques and I bought pocket watches. God, I own 30 some odd antique pocket watches. And I got them because people divested of them during the pandemic when they passed away. And so I thought, if I want pocket watches, I've always wanted a pocket watch. What I can do is I can go to these estate sales and I can go buy these pocket watches. That's what I did, right? And I bought glass, I bought glassware, I bought all kinds of luxury shirts and shoes and suspenders. I had a great career, I had a great relationship. I made money hand over fist, and I'm buying all this stuff at auctions and estate sales, and I'm buying all these, luxury clothes and things, trying to live, a bougie lifestyle. And none of it has brought me happiness. It's not maybe entirely accurate. Some of it has brought me happiness. I will tell you, of all the things that I've spent my money on, the only thing that I look back on during those years that I think was actually a good investment was upgrading my wardrobe. And it does turn out that some luxury clothing, very high-end, very expensive shirts, are extremely comfortable. And so, I think there's something to it, right? To have some luxury clothing. So what is the point of all this, right? So it's 2023. I'm working at the Helper Bees. I'm dealing with this discrimination at work, right? Life is good. I'm spending all these money at these auctions, and it's like nothing is bringing me happiness. Nothing is bringing me happiness. I'm trying to do the best I can at work, but I'm trying to figure out, what is my greater purpose in life? Why am I here? It's certainly not just to be working at the startup. It's not just to be making all of this money. What is the point of any of it, right? And I struggled with this all throughout 2023. And then I got fired. My cousin's wife passes away. My grandpa dies. And then I'm unemployed for 7 months. And I did a lot of thinking during that time. I am very interested in one thing, and that's this. What is the most good that I can do in my life? That's it. What is the most good that I can do in my life? What is it that we're doing that we could be doing better? How do we serve one another better? How do we make the changes we want to see in the world? How do we influence each other positively? So I've been digging in to a lot of religion and a lot of philosophy, And we're going to talk a little bit about those things on this channel. Not so much me teaching you them. I'm going to maybe introduce you to some concepts and my perspectives, but this is not like a course. It's just a guy rambling in his room in the middle of Pittsburgh. But right now, what I am reading and what I am meditating on and focusing on is this question: what is the most good I can do? So I think that's what we're going to talk about next week. We're going to talk about that question. What is the most good that we can do? And how do we do it? And how do we figure it out? Anyways, thank you for tuning in to this week's Coffee with Raymond. I'm Raymond, and this is my coffee. And this is Mr. Rogers. His shirt has turned back to blue. As we can see, it was yellow earlier. And so I think it is time for me to finish this coffee and go make another. If you like my content, please like this video. Please sign up and subscribe below. I'm going to be posting every week. I hope that as you see me go on this journey, that you will join me on that journey. Maybe, as I learned something along the way, you learned something too. For now, thanks for joining me on this crazy ride, and I'll see you again next week. Take care. Peace.